Welcome to the Dropship.com podcast. Today, we're bringing you more e-commerce insights, dropshipping strategies, and all the inspiration you need to grow your business. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, this podcast is your one-stop shop for success. Ready to roll? Here are your hosts, Ava and Noah.
All right, welcome back everybody for another deep dive with us.
Yes, welcome back.
And today we're tackling something that might sound
Yeah,
a little bit dry at first.
it might.
Branding. But stick with me because this stuff gets really fascinating,
It does.
especially if you're in the e-commerce space.
For sure.
We're going to be dissecting an article from the Dropship.com newsletter
Okay.
all about building a brand with some serious staying power. And did you know a strong brand can actually lead to a 23% higher revenue growth?
Wow.
We're going to unpack how.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But,
It's interesting
Thursday.
how many businesses just get hung up on the logo
Right.
when they think about branding.
Absolutely.
But it goes so much deeper than just a catchy visual.
Oh, definitely.
Wouldn't you say?
This article really drives home the point that a brand is all about crafting a perception,
Yeah.
building that trust with your customers.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, think of a band you really love.
Right.
But you probably dig their music, but it's more than that, right?
Mhm.
It's their style, their story, that feeling you get when you're at their concert.
It is. It's that emotional connection
Yeah.
that really makes a brand stick. And,
Yeah.
the article cites this stat that over half
Wow.
of all buying decisions are emotionally driven.
That's huge.
It is so, yeah, you could have the most amazing product in the world, but if your brand doesn't resonate with people
Yeah.
on a gut level, you're missing out.
So why is this whole branding thing even more crucial in the e-commerce world?
Well, think about it. You're online. You're competing with a zillion other businesses.
Right.
How do you stand out from that crowd?
A strong brand is like your secret weapon.
It is. It's like that lighthouse in the middle of a storm,
Yes.
right? Guiding your customers to you and no one else.
Exactly.
A powerful brand helps answer those key questions that a customer is subconsciously asking, like,
Yeah.
why should I pick you?
Right.
What problem are you solving that no one else can? And what values are you putting out there in the world?
So it's about going beyond just selling a product.
Yeah.
It's about connecting with your audience on a deeper level through shared values and experiences.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And this Dropship.com article breaks down a strong brand into 4 key building blocks.
Okay. I like it.
The first one is something they call brand DNA.
Brand DNA.
Yeah.
That sounds intense.
It's actually pretty simple.
okay.
Just think of it as your core values as a business,
Uh-huh.
What do you stand for?
Yeah.
What are the fundamental beliefs that drive everything you do?
Okay, so it's less about genetics and more about the soul of the brand.
Exactly. It's the foundation
Like that.
on which everything else is built. Now, the second building block is your target audience.
Okay.
And I know you're probably thinking,
Right.
duh, of course I know who my customers are.
Right.
But it goes deeper than that.
Yeah. You're not going to market skateboards the same way you market luxury skincare.
Precisely, you need to truly understand their needs, their aspirations, their pain points.
Yes.
That level of insight lets you tailor your message and really connect with them
Yes.
on a personal level.
Okay. That makes sense. So we've got brand DNA and target audience. What's next?
This is where it gets fun.
Ooh.
Brand personality.
Okay.
What kind of vibe does your brand give off?
Uh-huh.
Are you the reliable, trustworthy friend
Yeah.
or the edgy, rebellious innovator?
Ooh, I like this part.
Yeah,
It's like giving your brand a personality, making it relatable.
it is.
It's almost human.
Exactly. And finally, you've got your verbal identity.
Okay.
How does your brand talk to its customers?
Huh?
Is it playful and humorous?
Yeah.
Or formal and professional? Think about brands like Old Spice,
Right.
known for their quirky humor,
Yeah.
versus a brand like Apple, which is all about sleek minimalism.
Their voice totally shapes how we see them.
It does.
So these 4 building blocks, DNA, target audience, personality, and verbal identity, they all work together to create a brand that feels cohesive and genuine, right?
Exactly. But here's the thing. Even with all of that in place,
Mm-hmm.
you still need to bring it to life visually.
That's where the logos, colors, fonts, imagery, all those design elements come in,
You
right?
got it.
Yeah.
But here's the catch. Those visual elements need to be in sync with everything we just talked about.
Right.
Imagine if a band known for their grungy rock sound suddenly started using pastel colors and a bubbly font in their branding. It just wouldn't make sense.
It would be jarring, almost like they're betraying who they are.
Totally.
So consistency is key across all those visual touch
Yeah.
points.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you can't evolve, does it?
Absolutely not. Brands need to stay fresh and relevant.
Right.
It's about striking that balance between staying true to your core and adapting to the ever-changing world around you.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground already for our listeners who might be feeling a little overwhelmed. What are the key takeaways so far?
Okay.
What are those aha moments that they should be having?
Well, first and foremost, invest in a solid brand strategy.
Don't just wing it.
Don't just wing it. Take the time to define your core values, understand your audience, and craft a brand personality that truly resonates.
No shortcuts there.
No shortcuts.
All right, what else?
Equally important is measuring the impact of your branding efforts.
Okay.
Don't just assume it's working. Track your data, analyze your results, and be willing to adjust your strategy along the way.
So it's about being data-driven, not just going with your gut. What's the third key takeaway?
This one's crucial focus on building customer loyalty.
Okay.
It's not just about that one-time purchase.
Right.
It's about creating relationships that last.
Makes total sense, especially in the long run.
It does.
Loyal customers are like gold, right?
Absolutely. When you combine a strong brand strategy, data-driven decision-making, and a focus on customer loyalty,
Yeah.
you create a powerful force that can propel your business to new heights.
Now, before we move on to the nitty-gritty of building a brand identity, I'm curious, what was the one thing from this Dropship.com article that really made you go, that's interesting?
You know what really struck me was the emphasis on storytelling.
Ooh, storytelling.
Yes.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
Of course.
I'm here for it.
In a world saturated with information,
Yeah.
stories are what cut through the noise and connect with people on an emotional level.
I love that. And I think it ties back to that whole idea of emotional connection that we were talking about earlier.
For sure.
Stories have the power to make us feel something, to relate to a brand on a deeper level.
Absolutely. And that's what makes them so powerful in building brand loyalty.
Right.
When you tell a compelling story, you invite your customers to become part of that narrative, to connect with your brand on a more meaningful level.
It's not just about what you sell, but why you sell it.
Exactly.
It's about the passion, the purpose, the story behind your brand.
Exactly. So, as we move forward in our discussion, keep that idea of storytelling in mind.
I will.
It's a key ingredient in building a brand that truly resonates with your audience and stands the test of time.
Love it.
All right.
All right, so we've laid the groundwork. All right, so we've laid the groundwork, but now let's get into the nuts and bolts of actually building a brand.
Yeah.
Where do we even begin?
Well, the Dropship.com article really stresses that investing in a solid brand strategy is non-negotiable.
Right, no cutting corners there.
No.
And I remember you saying that a key part of that is understanding your target audience on a deeper level.
Yes.
But how do you actually gather that kind of intel?
There are a bunch of ways.
Yeah.
Traditional market research is still super valuable.
Uh-huh.
Surveys, focus groups, even digging into social media analytics can paint a pretty detailed picture of your target demographic.
So you're getting inside the minds of your potential customers, understanding what makes them tick.
Exactly. Another tactic that can be super helpful is creating what are called buyer personas.
Okay.
Basically, these are fictional, yet data-informed representations of your ideal customer.
So you're giving your target audience a face's story.
Yeah.
It makes them feel less like statistics and more like real people.
Exactly. And that makes it way easier to create marketing messages that resonate with them. It's like
Wow.
you're talking to a specific person instead of shouting into the void.
Okay, so once you have a deep understanding of your target audience, how do you actually translate that into a compelling brand identity?
That's where brand personality and verbal identity, those building blocks we talked about, really come into play.
Okay.
You want to create a voice and style that feels authentic to you and attractive to your ideal customer.
Right, like we were saying before, are you the friendly neighborhood shop or the sleek high-tech innovator? That vibe needs to be consistent across everything you do.
Consistency is key.
Yeah.
From your website copy to your social media posts to how you answer the phone, every interaction should reinforce your brand personality.
Uh-huh.
Imagine how confusing it would be if a brand like, say, Patagonia suddenly started using super corporate language.
Totally. It would feel inauthentic and off-putting.
Right.
Their whole brand is built around a love of nature and a commitment to sustainability.
Yeah.
So a stiff corporate voice just wouldn't fit.
You wouldn't.
Okay, so we've talked about nailing the voice and personality, but what about the visual side of things?
Okay.
How do you choose the right logos, colors, fonts, and imagery?
Well, those visual elements are like the clothes your brand wears.
Yeah.
They need to fit the personality you've established and appeal to your target audience.
Uh-huh.
Think about a brand like Glossier.
Okay.
Their minimalist, feminine aesthetic perfectly reflects their target customer and the kind of experience they're trying to create.
And that's totally different from a brand like Nike, which uses bold colors, dynamic imagery,
Yes.
and a powerful slogan to inspire athletes and convey a sense of ambition and achievement.
Exactly. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to visual branding.
Right.
You've got to find what feels right for you and your audience.
No. We've covered a lot of practical tips in this section.
We have.
What's the biggest takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
I think the most important thing to remember is that branding isn't a one-and-done task.
Uh-huh.
It's an ongoing process of listening to your customers, evolving with the market, and always staying true to your core values.
So it's a journey, not a destination.
Exactly.
You're constantly refining and adapting your brand as you grow and learn.
Precisely. You need to stay flexible and be open to change while always keeping your core identity in mind.
Got it.
Now, before we move on to some really inspiring examples of brands that are killing it,
Okay.
I think it's important to talk about one more crucial aspect of branding: storytelling.
Ooh, storytelling. I knew you were going to bring that up,
Of course.
and I'm here for it.
Humans are hardwired to respond to stories.
Right.
They capture our attention,
They do.
make us feel things, and help us make sense of the world.
So how can brands tap into that power?
By sharing authentic, relatable stories that connect with their audience on an emotional level. Yeah.
It's not about bragging or pushing a hard sell. It's about being genuine and sharing the values, experiences, and struggles that make your brand unique.
Can you give me some examples of brands that are doing storytelling really well?
Absolutely. A classic example is Tall MS Shoes.
Okay.
They built their entire brand around the story of their one-for-one mission.
Yeah,
For every pair of shoes purchased, they donate a pair to a child in need.
I love that.
That story resonates with their customers' values and creates a powerful emotional connection with the brand.
It's not just about buying shoes anymore. It's about being part of something bigger, making a difference in the world.
Exactly. Another great example is Patagonia.
Okay.
They're known for their commitment to environmental sustainability,
Uh,
and they tell that story through everything they do.
mm-hmm.
From their product design to their marketing campaigns.
Yeah,
They even encourage their customers to repair their clothes rather than buy new ones.
that's powerful.
It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk. All right, they're not just selling outdoor gear. They're selling a lifestyle, a set of values, a commitment to protecting the planet.
Exactly.
Okay, so I get why storytelling is important, but how does a brand actually go about crafting their story? Where did they even start?
It starts with digging deep and asking yourself some fundamental questions.
Okay.
What are your core values? What makes you unique? What problem are you solving for your customers? What are the struggles and triumphs you've experienced along the way? Those answers are the seeds of your brand story.
And once you have those seeds, how do you bring them to life?
Think about all the different ways you communicate with your audience.
Yeah.
Your website, social media blog, email marketing, even your product packaging. Each of those touch points is an opportunity to tell your story.
So it's about weaving those narratives into every aspect of your brand experience.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to get creative use. Visuals, videos, customer testimonials, behind the scenes, glimpses, anything that helps bring your story to life and makes it memorable.
This is making me want to go back and reevaluate my own brand story. It's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day of running a business and forget about the bigger picture.
It happens to the best of us, but remember, storytelling isn't just about being entertaining. It's a powerful tool for connecting with your audience and building a brand that lasts.
Right.
Now, before we move on to our final section, where we'll look at some really inspiring brand examples,
Okay.
let's take a moment to consider this. How can brands make sure their storytelling efforts are not just engaging, but also impactful and aligned with their business goals?
That's a great question. It's easy to get carried away with telling a good story, but it needs to serve a purpose, right?
Absolutely. The key is to make sure your stories are connected to your brand's core values and mission.
Right.
It's not just about telling any old story. It's about telling the right story, the one that reinforces your brand identity and helps you achieve your objectives.
Can you give an example of what you mean?
Sure. Let's say your brand is all about sustainability, like we were talking about with Patagonia. Your stories should highlight those values. You could share stories about your eco-friendly manufacturing processes,
Right.
your commitment to using recycled materials, or your partnerships with environmental organizations.
So you're not just saying you're sustainable, You're showing it through the stories you tell.
Yeah.
And those stories are not only engaging, but they also reinforce your brand's positioning and build trust with your customers.
Exactly. By aligning your stories with your business goals,
Yeah.
you ensure that your storytelling efforts are not just entertaining, but also drive tangible results, like increased brand awareness, customer loyalty, and ultimately sales.
This is so insightful. It's a great reminder to be intentional about the stories we're telling and make sure they're serving our brand's purpose.
Yeah,
Okay, so we've talked about the power of storytelling,
we have.
but I'm dying to hear about those brands that are absolutely nailing it.
Well, get ready to be inspired because in our final section, we're going to dive into some real-world examples of brands that are using storytelling, visual branding, and a deep understanding of their audience to create truly unforgettable experiences.
All right, we're back for the final part of our deep dive into the world of branding.
Yes, we are.
We've talked theory, we've talked strategy.
Right.
Now ready for some real-world inspiration.
I hear you.
What brands out there are really knocking it out of the park?
Well, we've already touched on a couple of all-stars like Glossier with their minimalist chic,
Right.
and Nike with their iconic logo and motivational messaging.
Yeah.
But let's dig into a few more examples that
Yeah.
show just how diverse, successful branding can be.
I'm all ears. Hit me with some brand brilliance.
Okay, let's start with a brand that's mastered the art of building a community.
Okay.
GoPro. They haven't just created a product, they've cultivated a tribe of passionate adventurers. By empowering their customers to become content creators, showcasing their experiences through those amazing user-generated videos, they've tapped into something really special.
It's like they've turned their customers into walking, talking, surfing, snowboarding billboards.
It is.
But it feels authentic, not forced.
Exactly. It goes way beyond just sharing cool footage. GoPro has fostered this incredible sense of belonging, of shared passion among their users.
Yeah.
It's almost like they've created a movement.
So it's not just about the product. It's about the community,
Yeah.
the lifestyle,
Yeah.
the shared values.
It is.
Okay, who else is on your brand all-star list?
Another brand that really impresses me is Warby Parker, the eyewear company.
I love those guys.
Yeah.
Stylish glasses without the sticker shock, plus their home try-on program is genius. It makes shopping for glasses actually fun.
They nailed the customer experience from start to finish, whether you're browsing online or visiting one of their brick-and-mortar stores.
Right.
It feels fresh, modern, and inviting.
Yeah.
And they're not afraid to shout their values from the rooftops, affordability style, and a commitment to giving back.
It's that authenticity that really shines through.
Yeah.
You can tell they're not just saying the right things, they're actually living their values.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got GoPro with the community building and Warby Parker with the customer experience revolution.
Right.
Who else is rocking the branding game?
Let's talk about a brand that's synonymous with sustainability, Patagonia.
Okay.
For decades, they've been walking the walk when it comes to environmental responsibility.
Yes.
Their commitment to ethical sourcing, sustainable practices, and advocating for the planet is woven into the very fabric of their brand.
They're not afraid to take a stand even when it means challenging industry norms.
Right.
Or pushing their customers to think differently about consumption like that. Don't buy this jacket campaign that was bold.
It was brilliant. They prove that you can be successful while staying true to your values, and their customers love them for it.
They do.
So you've got these three powerhouse brands, GoPro, Warby Parker, Patagonia. They're all doing things differently, yet they're all incredibly successful.
Yeah. So as we wrap up this deep dive into branding, what's the big takeaway you want to leave our listener with today?
Well, building a brand that lasts is an ongoing journey of discovery, experimentation, and staying true to yourself.
It is.
It's about finding your unique voice, connecting with your audience on a deeper level,
Right.
and building something that people genuinely believe in.
It's not just about slapping a logo on something and calling it a day.
No.
It's about crafting an experience, a story, a connection.
Now, before we sign off, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
What one small change could you make today to strengthen your brand's emotional connection with your customers?
That's a powerful question to ponder. And if you're hungry for more branding wisdom, I highly recommend checking out the Dropship.com newsletter.
Yes,
It's packed with actionable advice and inspiring examples.
definitely worth a read.
All right, that wraps up another deep dive. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of the amazing world of branding.
It's been a pleasure.
Remember, stay curious, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
That's it for today on the Dropship.com podcast. We hope you got some value out of this episode. If you're looking to stay ahead in e-commerce and dropshipping, the dropship.com newsletter is where we dive deeper into the latest trends, news, and strategies. Delivered every Monday and Thursday. Don't miss it. Subscribe with the link